Hi, welcome back to a new video in the Introduction to the Command Line series. In this video, we're going to talk about wildcards. The use of wildcards makes you so productive when working with the command line and gives you so much power. So in short, wildcards allow you to form patterns. Those patterns would describe a file or multiple files. You can then use those patterns with commands that accept file names. Let me show you how all that works in this video. We're going to focus on the ls command because that's a command that we've used so far in the course and we're quite familiar with. But using wildcards isn't necessarily just with the ls command. It can work with any command that works with files. But in this video, we're just using it with the ls command. Let's get started. All right, so I created this folder here and I've created a hello.html, hello2.html, hello3.html, and then there is a hello.txt. All right. So if you go in folder and then you ls, you see all the files. What if you want to ls just some of the files? So what we talked about earlier, how with the command line, you can be a little bit specific about, say, a certain pattern that you want to see in the file name. So I can ls, first of all, you can ls without any arguments, or you can ls with an argument. So say, a file name, so hello.txt. And if you hit enter, well, that's the only file that's going to be printed. And of course, you can like add some options to the command. And then instead of having all the files printed, you just have the specific file that you have in mind. So what if you want to ls any HTML file, just the HTML files? So what you do is you use an asterisk and then you type in HTML. And what that'll do is it will say match any letter, and then at the end of the file you should have HTML. So you could add the options if you like, and then you get a list of all the HTML files that you have within the folder directory. You can do the same now with txt, and you get that printed. Let's say that we want to rename this file to a.txt and this file to a.html. So you can ls a, so any file that starts with an a and then anything else after. So it'll match those two files that we just renamed. So what we're using right here is called wildcards. Let me explain it to you. All right, so wildcards are special characters that let you match multiple files or directories without typing their full names. They're part of a feature called path name expansion in Bash. Of course, if you don't know what Bash is the shell or the place where you type in your commands. That's Bash. It's the command interpreter and executor. So I've prepared a folder here called wildcard demo. And as you can see, it's populated with a bunch of files of different names and different file extensions, etc. And we're going to use those files to learn more about wildcards. So we've seen the asterisk, which is just using it on its own is equivalent to using ls, which is match everything within the directory. And we've seen also if you start with, say, any file that has a name that starts with a G and then match anything else, well, that's going to display those files that start with a G. You can also say, for instance, starts with a B and has a file extension of txt. That's going to bring those as well. Now, here's another one we haven't seen, which is a question mark. So you can ls data question mark, and see what we get. We get data 001, data 123, data ABC. So a question mark will only match a single character. If I take one of the three off, then I'm not going to match anything because I'm saying I want an ls data and then followed by exactly two any characters, but just two. So there isn't anything that matches in the file set that we have. We can use brackets. So those brackets will match specific set of characters. So for instance, I'll use A, B, C, right? And then I'm going to ls. Well, that's not working, right? But if I add an asterisk at the end, then any file that starts with an A or B or C, so A, B, 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 C are all matching because they're starting. So instead of like saying, so this would be the equivalent of this. It's going to display the same output. But so here we're passing 3 arguments, and the first argument is A and anything after. So we're getting, sorry about that. So we're getting this one. And this is saying B and anything after. So we're getting this block. And then C is giving us this file. So instead of doing this and passing it as passing them as 3 arguments, we're passing 1 argument to the ls command, and we're saying it can start with any one of those. So this will match a single character, 1 character, but that character can be A or B or C. All right. Here's another example. What if we're only interested in data followed by numbers, not characters? How do we achieve this? You do ls data, and then you can type in 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and I guess 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then, oh no, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and hit enter, and we got the 2 entries that we're interested in. Now, this is not the best way to do it. Sorry, you can do range, so 0 to 9. So that's a range, 0 to 9, 0 to 9, 0 to 9. So let's do that and hit enter, and we get the results that we wanted using this shorter format. It's more efficient. You can also specify ranges that are like, you don't have to go 0 to 9. You can like go 0 to 1 or 0 to 2 or 5 to 9, etc. You get the point. What if you want to get this result here? Well, I'm going to do data, and then I'm going to specify range A to Z, and let's just put an asterisk at the end. Well, I'm not getting anything. Why? These are uppercase, and there is a distinction here between lowercase and uppercase. So if I do this, I get the file that I intended printed. All right, so what's another way to achieve printing those 2? What we can do here is we can say ls, and we can have a not inside. So this will negate the range that we have. So for instance, anything that doesn't, so I'll type in data, and anything that doesn't include A and then an asterisk, and that's going to print those 2, because this obviously includes an A. Can also be a range, and that will give us the ABC. And if you want to print all the above here, you could just use something that is not included in the 3 entries, and you get all the entries printed. So that's negation. Let me show you a new syntax. So just we've specified ranges. Yeah, we're going to specify a class of characters inside. And the way you classify a class is you use also these brackets, and you use colon, and then you type in the name of a class. So a name of a class could be digit. I'm just going to get rid of the spaces here, and I'm going to print anything basically that starts with a digit. Okay, so that's instead of you having to type in 0 to 9, you just specify the class name. To go back to previous commands, you can use the arrow up and arrow down. So arrow up will show you the history of the commands that you've executed. So for me, it would be easier to go arrow up and find digit, and maybe replace digit with upper. And now it's printing any file that starts with an uppercase. Or you can type in lower, and it's going to print any file that starts with a lowercase. So another class that we're going to look at is alpha, for alphabetic. So here what we're saying is any alphabetic character followed by any character. So that's going to print, basically, it's going to match lowercase, uppercase. I'm also going to show you ALNUM. So that will include all numbers, and all letters being uppercase or lowercase. So alphabetic and numerical characters. So you see we have, in addition to the previous outputs, we have the ones that start with a number. Now, of course, negation also works in the sense that we can, for instance, say upper. And then here we're getting all the files that don't start with an uppercase. So files that start with a number and files that start with a lowercase. So we can also combine classes and characters together in a single range. So that's a range here. I could say I want to have a class here that goes maybe lower. So that's going to print all the lowercase, all the files that start with a lowercase. And also I can have A in there. So all the files that start with a lowercase or a capital A. So I get Apple here and I get the previous output. That's it for this video. I hope you found it useful. And if you have, you know what to do. Thank you, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.